Well, here I have my so-called watering system. We're concerned that our plants aren't going to get enough water while we're away for a while, and we only have friends that are able to come and do watering for a few days at a time, not necessarily every day, and we are in the middle of a bit of a heat wave. So I looked and figured out that maybe a wicking process might work well with our plants. So what I have here is strips of well-used cotton towels, torn along the grain and knotted at one end, put into the bucket so that they are well down into the bottom, so as the water goes down, that the towel is still getting water. I have been doing this now for 3 days and seems to be working very well. During the night there is more water going into the plant. During the day the towel does seem to dry a little bit, but you can certainly see that the water is getting down to where the plant roots are. You stick one end of the towel, I sort of do a little roll and stick it down into the ground a few inches and then backfilled around the plant, and definitely the plants are staying wet. The water has gone down a couple of inches, and hopefully that's a good sign. So today I am doing a few more. These plants do need watering basically a couple of times a day at this point in time, and I've got another container here ready to go, a few of them, and so I figure I have nothing to lose by giving it a good try, and hopefully this will work. I do seem to think that, from what I gather right now, the roots of the plants are definitely getting the water. As you can see, there is a wet. Now, the towels are not dripping wet right now, but they're pretty soaked, and I think that that's a good sign, and hopefully they will last till we get back. I will let you know what happens. So here we have another pot, and I'll just show you what the easiest way of dealing with this is to fill up the pot first with water and roll up the bottom of the towel just about an inch or so and poke a hole well down a couple of inches and pull it up, stick that well down into the plant, cover it up a little bit, and take the towel and drop it in the water. Now, almost instantly you're going to be able to see where the water starts rising up into the towel, and it really only takes a minute or two for it. I can also already feel that it's coming up to where my hands are, and you can actually see the change in color as the water rises up into the towel. So I'll come back to that one in a second. I'll just do another one. And here we go. We will just poke a good hole down into this plant and stick that well down and cover it up and drop that end in. And like I said, because of the little knot at the bottom, it seems to weight it down. So we'll give that a minute And I will continue around. And I've put 10 pots around the area. This is hard to film at the same time. But you can see already that these towels are wet. And the water has gotten almost to the top. If you want to speed it up, you can dip these in water first, but it was more for illustration purposes for you to see how quickly that water will go up to the top. Stick that down deep. And of course that's because of the root growth. You don't want to have really shallow roots. And there. So you can do this all around and you end up with, of course, like this. So I did these ones about a half hour ago, and you can see this one here is about 2 inches over the top, and this one's already soaking wet. You can actually squeeze. Well, here we are 3 weeks later. We've come back from our holidays, and it was extremely hot for 3 weeks, in the high 20s, low 30s, and you can see that my plants have managed all to survive. The pots did, or the buckets did actually get refilled a couple of times. They didn't, of course, go down to the bottom, but as friends were able to, they came and reloaded buckets, but they did not water the plants themselves. So it looks like everything has survived rather well, and I am thrilled that this method worked. Especially if you're only going away for a short time, like a week or so. I think it's definitely something worth pursuing, whether it's in the house or out, in order to help your plants survive, especially if you don't have any other options. So I think my little experiment worked and was well worth the effort. And I will come down here, and there's a few other ones here that worked, and the wicking is just continuing, and you can see that it has almost, this one's almost about half full, and definitely soaking wet. So anyway, that's the end of my experiment, and give it a shot. And in hindsight, also my tomatoes are ready to be eaten, and they ripened while we were away. So I am actually going to grab one and reward myself by having a little treat. Bye-bye. One thing I did notice was that after a number of weeks, this is standing water, and of course that means mosquitoes. So I think probably this is not something you'd want to do for as long as we did. I gave them a quick spray with Pam on the top of the water, and that seems to have done the trick. And just a very light aerosol, because of course the oil. But now I am going to cut off the toweling and dump out the pails regardless. So just keeping that in mind, unless you were going to cover the tops, which of course is an option. Even if you just did it lightly and then put a bungee cord across it, just for things like mosquitoes and other sort of water-loving bugs.